A few days ago, I made a silly little music video called Binface in under 10 hours, and somehow over the weekend, it was seen over 3 million times across YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, X, and TikTok. The majority of views coming from third-party reposts that I didn't even upload myself. And yeah, the whole thing is completely absurd, to be fair. I thought it'd be funny for people who got the reference, the people who were following the Count Binface versus Nigel Farage story, but instead it's Escaped Containment, and it did so almost immediately. It was reposted on X, Facebook, and TikTok, often without my original description as well, which, well, it meant a lot of people were encountering it without any of the context as to what it actually was. So I wanted to make this video to explain where it came from, how I was thinking about it, and also to talk about what this strange little experiment says about AI music, internet culture, and creativity right now. First of all, to be very clear, this wasn't an official Count Binface project. Jonathan David Harvey, who created the Count Binface character, had absolutely nothing to do with this. And I believe he has distanced himself on X as well, which I think is politically the right move. My video wasn't commissioned or coordinated. It wasn't part of a wider campaign or anything. It was simply a impulsive idea on a slow work day, believe it or not. And I just wanted to know if I could make a whole project in less than a day. It wasn't even intended to be a glowing endorsement of Count Binface. It was a satirical parody poking fun at the whole situation. Nigel Farage, Count Binface, British politics in general, you know, and the fact that we've somehow reached a point where an alien with a bin on his head running in a by-election feels less strange than the political reality around him. That was the core of the joke, not my serious political argument, more of a look at the state of this country. A bin-headed alien might actually be the most coherent part of the conversation. The original idea actually came from seeing a couple of Count Binface's interviews that were quite funny. There's also this wider sense that both Reform and Farage were being clowned on from multiple directions. I mean, even senior conservative figures like Kemi were getting involved in that tone of ridicule. And I remember thinking, oh, okay, if this is the level of absurdity we're operating at, then maybe it's fair game to make a meme music video about Farage versus a bin. And I'll be honest, there wasn't a whole lot of strategy behind it. The strategy, if you can call it that at all, was basically British politics is currently absurd. Count Binface kind of feels like something out of Black Mirror, and the technology for AI music videos is starting to get really, really advanced. So with that general energy, I was like, this whole moment feels like one big meme. And that was practically it. Now, Count Binface, if you didn't already know, is an alien from Sigma 9 with policies that are intentionally silly. But a lot of them are actually weirdly pointed. Things like 99 flakes should cost 99p again. That one got me because it's such a stupidly British thing to care about, isn't it? But then you actually realise there's actually a real point underneath it. It's inflation, the cost of living crisis, the way that simple pleasures have become more expensive in the United Kingdom. So in this music video, I had this image of Binface laser beaming an ice cream van, because of course I did. That's where my brain went. We're currently living in the middle of a heat wave and my brain is melting, and I think that's in part why the video actually worked. Not the melty brain component, but the fact that the video, it wasn't trying to be subtle. It was trying to take the internal logic of the meme seriously. If an alien candidate is talking about 99 flakes, then yes, in the music video, that probably means that there should be a Binface shooting a laser beam at an ice cream van out of his bin face. Moving on to Basic Craig, the character that I've manifested for the purpose of this music video. He's supposed to symbolise the perfect average British bloke, the kind of guy you'd like to go to the pub for a pint with. People seem to say that about Nigel all the time, so the theory was, if Basic Craig is better looking than Nigel Farage, then maybe, just maybe, the good people of Clacton might want a pint with Basic Craig instead. The joke being that Nigel's never really in Clacton to be able to have a pint with, and in a sense, neither is Craig because, well, he exists inside a computer. But the strangest thing is what happened after, because someone actually sent me a super chat. It's the first one that I've ever had, so thank you, Sarah, for that. And, you know, people were asking me to release the song properly, so I took that £2 and I went to DistroKid, and yeah, it's now released on all the big streamers. The artist's name is obviously Basic Craig, and the track is Binface, which means a throwaway AI-assisted meme song about an alien with a bin for a head is now being distributed to all the big streaming platforms, and if enough people listen to it, it could even enter the charts, potentially making this Reform UK's unofficial theme song forever. This has led me to an idea that I don't think's been done yet. It's a little Rage Against the Machine in a slightly geekier way, but right now, anyone in the world can go to a tool like Suno and create AI music for free. This means anyone watching this video could technically make their own remix, cover, or parody version of Binface. And if you wanted to release it officially, you'd only need to get commercial rights. You'd have to check the current terms and get a subscription with them, but I believe it's only £6. And then, yeah, you would go to a DistroKid or another distributor and you could have it out in the world. And here's the crazy part. In theory, if enough people cared to do it, you could end up with dozens or hundreds of versions of the same meme song being released by all of you. Imagine the charts, or at least the internet's version of the charts, being temporarily flooded with variations of Binface. I'm talking dance remix, folk remix, drum and bass remix, a sea shanty remix, Gregorian chant remix, emotional piano ballad remix, maybe even a terrible pub karaoke remix. And this whole thing, it then becomes less like this traditional song release and more like a decentralized meme event. And I'm not saying this as some part of grand master plan, because I honestly don't know how many people would actually leave this video and make a song and remix it, even though it's very easy to do. And maybe even the actual non-AI music people could get involved and do their own versions as well, which should no doubt be better than anything performed by the AI, you know, because you could actually perform it in person. But I'm fairly certain that this has never been done before. And we can be the first people in the world to do it, because normal, everyday people have access to this technology now. A song becoming viral, right? That's not new. A political parody song, that's not new either. People making remixes, that isn't new, but everyone making a Binface song in every possible style in the world at the same time at scale to dominate global music charts, that would be something new. And it'd be really funny or utterly horrific, depending on your relationship with music, because I do understand the frustration with AI music, I really do. I'm a musician and music producer myself. I've made albums under alias here, and before that Pomp Yin, and honestly, most people didn't really care to listen to the non-AI stuff, and you know, then I come along and I make a stupid thing like Binface in less than a day, and suddenly, you know, that music has traveled further than any other music that I've done, and that's a strange feeling. It's kind of funny, but it's also kind of brutal. Every experiment I do with AI, it seems to reinforce the same uncomfortable point. The audience often responds more strongly to the idea, the hook, the timing, and the shareability than the amount of human labor that went into the work. And I do think that's quite difficult for creatives to sit with. I know it was for me. And as that's coming from someone who's worked as a creative professional across a diverse range of roles over the last decade, because when you make something manually, when you spend hours or days or even years developing a skill, you want people to feel that labor in the finished thing. But most audiences, they don't experience creative work that way. They don't receive your process, they receive the thing. They receive how it makes them feel, how it reflects them, whether It gives them a joke to share, an emotion to attach to, or an identity to signal, or even a moment to participate in. It's been one of the strangest lessons of working in the creative industry, whether it's video, editing, design, animation, music, content, whatever really. You're often using your taste and skill to increase value of someone else's product, service, or message. And very often you're not being rewarded for pure creativity, you're being rewarded for making something recognizable, useful, legible, and effective. A lot of corporate creativity is actually quite conservative, not politically conservative necessarily, but structurally conservative. People, they want what works, a proven format. They want a thing that looks like the thing that's already performed well. They're not always so hot on novelty. And a lot of people, they do tend to play it safe, and it doesn't mean that they don't want personality, but usually the kind of personality that's already been market tested. And there is a weird thing you start to notice when you pursue money through creativity. A lot of the time, what people are actually buying from you is a sort of outsourced personality. You don't necessarily care about you, the person who made it, in any deep and meaningful way, more than they care about what your creative output allows them to say about themselves. A video, a song, design, brands, a meme. These things become ways of audiences to participate in an identity. They share something because it says, this is my humor, this is my politics, this is my taste, this is my tribe, this is how I want to be seen. And I think creatives can get caught up hoping the audience will somehow feel the depth of the process. But most people just don't have that context. They only have the context of their own lives. So there's always this separation of creator and the work. The creator might have this meditative, personal, emotional journey while making something, but the audience usually meets the work at face value, unless they're the kind of person who enjoys digging a little bit deeper. And in my own experience, most people don't do that. The BTS for things, it tends to be reserved for people who are curious about craft, and a lot of people aren't. And this Binface was another reminder that people don't really care about how the sausage was made. They didn't care about the workflow, the prompts, the edits, the tools, the late night decisions, the strategy, or the strange little creative choices you've got to make. They only cared that it was funny, timely, catchy, and easy to share. And the people who are maybe a little bit too close-minded for AI, they simply just churn out the same old stock comments that don't actually require any thoughts or further investigation. And you know what? That's fine. That's how internet culture works. I've had music that's been heard hundreds of thousands of times, even before AI was a part of the conversation, and very little of that attention ever made its way back to me in person. And that just tends to be how it goes for a lot of creatives. I've helped accumulate hundreds of millions of views for my clients over the years, and in my own experience with that, the work often travels far further than the creator. So with AI, I've tried to form a healthier relationship with creativity. When I do want to get away from screens and work on something meaningful and purposeful, I go and play the piano. I don't release that music, I don't package it up, I don't turn it into content. I just sit there and work through emotions, explore progressions, and I find these little moments of novelty, and yeah, just let it be personal. Piano for me, it's become this detox from the commercial side of creativity. It reminds me that not every creative act needs to become a product, not everything needs to perform, not everything needs to have analytics attached to it. And weirdly, that's made this transition into an AI world a lot easier for me, because I can separate creativity into different kinds of creativity. There's creativity as personal practice, expression, and self-development. Then there's creativity for a professional service. There's creativity as cultural participation. And there's creativity as internet chaos. Binface sits firmly in that last category. I don't think it's high art. I'll be shocked if anyone does, really. And I don't think it's even particularly high quality compared to what I'd usually try and make. It's a throwaway joke that happened to land at the exact right moment. But that's also the point of it. AI tools are giving so many people more access to explore ideas quickly. Some of those ideas, they're gonna be terrible, others are gonna be lazy, but everything is derivative. And you know what? Some of it might actually end up being good. And sometimes, just sometimes, it might be stupid in exactly the right way at exactly the right time. And I think that this was one of those moments, and you've shared in it with me. People are always complaining about missing the old internet these days, the stupid piece of media for the sake of it. This is a stupid piece of media for the sake of it. And it seems to have resonated with more people than I could ever have imagined. So for anyone who's more interested in the more technical side of this, I've actually put a breakdown of how it was made and the case study on my Skool community. It goes into the strategy, the metrics, the workflow, and the creative decisions in more detail. But really the big takeaway for me is this. There are a lot of things that matter. The tools, how quick you are to the moment, you know, timing is everything and all that. But sometimes you just need to get lucky as well and have a bigger profile, take your video and post it on a different platform. And the truth is, if it wasn't for a couple of the bigger pages on X, you know, this video would probably have only got the 150,000 views on Instagram and maybe wouldn't have even been seen much on here. I think Binface really is evidence that ideas don't even have to be complicated. This idea was really simple. British politics has become so absurd that an alien with a bin for a head can walk into a story and somehow feel like the sensible choice. That was the joke. And it seems to have landed with a lot of people, which is ridiculous and really funny in of itself. So thanks to all of you who've watched it, shared it, laughed at it, got annoyed by it, reposted it, or even argued about it. You've all in some way, shape or form helped turn this stupid little song into a real thing. There was a comment left by someone that said comedy or tragedy, which I completely think it sums it up. There's a lot of conflict, power plays, dodgy millionaires seeking status to the detriment of everyone else. But the one thing that they'll never be able to take from us is our sense of humor. Even in the face of evil, we'll always find a way of making light of it together. So if you are going to be one of these people who makes your own version of the song, please do send it to me. I'll put the lyrics down below so you can just copy and paste them into the software. Because, you know, if the internet is going to do something truly unhinged, I'd quite like to see just how far the bin can roll. And I guess that's the end. Yeah, is there a reason why you should subscribe? I guess so. If you like mythology, psychology, technology, or creativity, there's a good variety here. There's lectures, there's video essays, there's music, there's short film. I'm also giving a bunch of stuff away in my Skool community, which is fairly new. I have courses on there with a free module, and anyway, I'll stop shilling all of my resources at you. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.